Black beans. Black beans have been a staple food in the Americas for thousands of years. Long before Europeans arrived in the New World, indigenous communities were already growing and eating them as part of their daily diet. At first glance, they're easy to recognize. Their skin is dark, shiny, and almost jet black. But cut one open and you'll find something completely different inside. The center is usually pale cream or yellow, creating a contrast that surprises a lot of people. Black beans are known for their hearty texture. Once cooked, they become firm and filling, which is one reason they often appear in dishes that contain little or no meat. In many cases, they can make a meal feel substantial all on their own. Today, black beans remain a staple across much of Latin America. They're especially common in countries such as Brazil, Cuba, and Mexico, where they appear in everything from soups and stews to rice dishes. They're also packed with fiber and plant protein. And considering how affordable they are, it's easy to see why black beans have remained popular for so many generations. Kidney beans. Kidney beans got their name in a pretty straightforward way. Take one look at them and you'll probably notice the resemblance. Their curved shape looks remarkably similar to a human kidney. The red variety is by far the most common, although white kidney beans are also widely available. In fact, white kidney beans are often sold under a different name, Cannellini beans. But there's something unusual about kidney beans that many people don't know. Unlike most foods, they should never be eaten raw. Raw kidney beans naturally contain a toxin called phytohemagglutinin, which can cause severe digestive problems if the beans aren't cooked properly. Fortunately, the solution is simple. Thorough boiling destroys the toxin and makes the beans completely safe to eat. Once cooked, kidney beans become firm, satisfying, and surprisingly versatile. They hold their shape well during long cooking times, which is why they're a favorite ingredient in chili, soups, and stews around the world. Chickpeas. Chances are you've eaten chickpeas before, even if you didn't pay much attention to them. They're one of the oldest cultivated crops in human history and have been grown for thousands of years across parts of the Middle East. They're small, round, and usually light beige in color. Their mild flavor and slightly nutty taste make them incredibly versatile in the kitchen. Most people know chickpeas because of hummus. That creamy dip found in grocery stores and restaurants around the world is made primarily from chickpeas. But hummus is only part of the story. In India, chickpeas and chickpea flour are used in a huge variety of foods, including breads, snacks, and desserts. And here's something that surprised even many professional bakers. The liquid inside a can of chickpeas, known as aquafaba, can be whipped into a foam that behaves surprisingly similarly to egg whites. Today, it's commonly used in vegan baking and cooking. Pinto beans. Pinto beans are named after the Spanish word for painted. Take a closer look at a dried pinto bean and the reason becomes obvious. The surface is covered with reddish-brown spots and streaks that make every bean look slightly different. But once they're cooked, those patterns disappear and the beans turn a much more uniform brown color. Pinto beans are especially popular in the United States and Mexico. In fact, they're the main ingredient in most refried beans, one of the best-known side dishes in Mexican and Tex-Mex cuisine. After cooking, pinto beans become soft, creamy, and excellent at absorbing flavor. That's one reason they're often paired with spices, herbs, and slow-cooked meats. For many people, pinto beans are among the most comforting and familiar beans on the dinner table. Lentils. Lentils are often grouped together with beans, even though they look quite different from most of them. They're small, flat, and shaped almost like tiny discs. In fact, the word lens comes from the Latin word for lentil. Early lenses were named after the seed because of their similar shape. It's one of those connections most people never think about. Lentils have been part of the human diet for thousands of years. Archaeologists have found evidence of lentil cultivation in some of the world's earliest farming communities. One reason lentils became so popular is convenience. Unlike many beans, they usually don't need to be soaked before cooking. Depending on the variety, they can go from dry to ready to eat in less than 30 minutes. Today, lentils come in several colors, including green, brown, red, black, and yellow. Each variety behaves a little differently in the kitchen. Red lentils, for example, tend to break down quickly and create a smooth texture, making them a popular choice for soups, stews, and curries. Navy beans. Navy beans may be small, but they've had a surprisingly big impact on history. These little white beans got their name from the United States Navy. During the 19th century, they were commonly served to sailors because they stored well and provided reliable nutrition during long voyages. At first glance, navy beans don't look particularly exciting. They're small, oval-shaped, and plain white in color. But what they lack in appearance, they make up for in versatility. Their mild flavor allows them to blend into almost any recipe without overpowering other ingredients. That's one reason they've remained popular for generations. If you've ever eaten traditional American baked beans, there's a good chance you've already eaten navy beans. They're the classic bean used in the dish. As they cook, navy beans soften easily and help thicken the liquid around them, making them especially useful in soups and slow-cooked meals. Edamame. Edamame looks very different from most beans people are used to seeing. That's because edamame isn't a dried bean at all. These are young soybeans harvested before they fully mature. They're bright green, slightly sweet, and have a firm texture that sets them apart from many other legumes. In Japan, edamame has been enjoyed for centuries as a simple snack. The pods are usually boiled, lightly salted, and served whole. If you've never eaten them before, the process is simple. You squeeze the beans out of the pod with your teeth and discard the outer shell. Outside of Asia, many people first encountered edamame in Japanese restaurants, where it often appeared as an appetizer. Edamame is also notable for another reason. Soybeans contain all 9 essential amino acids, making them one of the few plant foods considered a complete protein source. Lima beans. Lima beans have a reputation that isn't always fair. For many people, especially children, they're remembered as the vegetable nobody wanted to eat at dinner. But that reputation often comes down to how they were prepared. When cooked properly, lima beans develop a smooth, creamy texture that many people compare to butter. Their name comes from the city of Lima in Peru, where they were first cultivated thousands of years ago. Wild lima beans contain naturally occurring compounds that can release cyanide. That might sound alarming, but modern cultivated varieties contain only very small amounts. After proper cooking, they are completely safe to eat. Today, lima beans are grown around the world and are commonly used in soups, stews, and vegetable dishes. Fava beans. Fava beans are among the oldest cultivated plants on Earth. People have been growing them throughout the Mediterranean region and parts of the Middle East for thousands of years. They're easy to recognize thanks to their large size and thick outer skin. Before eating them, that outer layer is often removed to reveal the bright green bean inside. Fava beans have a rich flavor that many people describe as earthy and slightly nutty. But there's another reason they're famous. A rare inherited condition known as favism affects some people around the world. Individuals with this condition can experience serious health problems after eating fava beans because their bodies lack an enzyme that helps protect red blood cells. For most people, however, fava beans are perfectly safe and remain an important ingredient in many traditional dishes. Mung beans. Mung beans may not be as famous as black beans or chickpeas, but they've been an important food across Asia for thousands of years. They're small, green on the outside and yellow inside. Many people have actually eaten mung beans without realizing it. That's because bean sprouts are often made from mung beans. When the beans are soaked and allowed to sprout, they produce the crunchy white shoots commonly found in stir-fries, salads, and spring rolls. Across Asia, mung beans are used in far more than savory dishes. In countries such as China and Thailand, they're also turned into sweet soups, desserts, and fillings for traditional treats. It's a good reminder that not every bean is destined for a bowl of chili. Adzuki beans. Adzuki beans play a very different role from most beans on this list. While many beans are used mainly in savory dishes, Adzuki beans are often associated with desserts. These small red beans have been cultivated in East Asia for centuries and remain especially popular in Japan, China, and Korea. One of their most common uses is in sweet red bean paste. The beans are cooked with sugar until they form a thick filling used in a wide variety of traditional desserts. If you've ever eaten mochi, dorayaki pancakes, or certain steamed buns, there's a good chance you've already tasted Adzuki beans. Even before sugar is added, Adzuki beans have a naturally mild sweetness that makes them particularly well suited for desserts. Black-eyed peas. Despite the name, black-eyed peas aren't actually peas. They're a type of bean known as a cowpea. Their name comes from the dark spot found on each bean, which looks a bit like an eye. Black-eyed peas originated in Africa and eventually spread to many other parts of the world. In the southern United States, they became especially important and remain a major part of regional cooking today. They're perhaps best known for a New Year's tradition. Many families eat black-eyed peas on January 1st because they're believed to bring good luck and prosperity for the year ahead. Whether or not the tradition works is up for debate, but the beans remain popular nonetheless. Cannellini beans. Cannellini beans are often called white kidney beans, and once you see them side by side, the resemblance becomes obvious. They're larger than many other white beans and have a creamy interior that stays relatively firm after cooking. Cannellini beans are especially common in Italian cuisine. For centuries, they've appeared in soups, stews, and rustic dishes throughout different regions of Italy. One of their best-known appearances is in pasta e fagioli, a traditional soup that combines beans and pasta. Their mild flavor allows them to absorb olive oil, garlic, herbs, and other seasonings exceptionally well. Sometimes the simplest recipes end up being the most satisfying. Cranberry beans. Cranberry beans are among the most visually striking beans in the world. Before cooking, they're covered in beautiful red and pink streaks scattered across a pale background. No two seem to look exactly alike. Unfortunately, much of that color disappears during cooking, but what they lose in appearance, they make up for in flavor. Cranberry beans have a rich, nutty taste that many people compare to chestnuts. They're especially popular in Italy, where they're known as Borlotti beans. For generations, they've been used in soups, stews, and countless traditional recipes throughout the Mediterranean region. Their creamy texture and distinctive flavor have helped them remain a favorite long after the colorful patterns fade away.